A computer game is being developed. The game has 10 different characters. They are all active in the game. Part of the game is being written using object-oriented programming. The class character stores data about the characters. Each character has a name and the X coordinate and Y coordinate of their current position. So this is the character class. We have the name, X coordinate and Y coordinate attributes. And then for method, we have the constructor, the getName, getX, get Y, and change position. So before we start doing A, let's do some visualization for this question 2 first. So for this question 2, basically it's just a computer game whereby we have the X coordinate and Y coordinate. So let me just draw it out here. So we have the X coordinate and then the Y coordinate, something like this. So this is the X and then this is the Y. And then we have 10 different characters inside the game. For example, we have this character A here, and then maybe we have character B here. Then maybe you have some character C here, and etc. And then maybe this is called A, and this is called B, and this is called C. And then each of them will have their own coordinate. For example, this A here is going to be something like maybe 3, 4, and then this is like maybe it's like stand, and then also the same Y, so it's going to be 4 here. And this guy here maybe is 3. And then maybe -5. So if you draw the coordinate plane, maybe it will be something like this. For example, this one here. So this is gonna be 4 here, and then this is gonna be 3 here, and then this is gonna be 4, and it's gonna be 10, and etc. So basically, this is the nature of question 2. And then we have methods here which are quite straightforward. So for example, we have this getName here. Basically just trying to get all these name here, A, B, C here. And then we have get X and get Y here. So this get X and get Y, basically just trying to get the X coordinate or the Y coordinate. And lastly, we also have this change position method. So this method is actually used to shift the character. For example, I can just put like -1, -1, and then this A here will just go down by -1, -1. It means that you'll go down by 1 and then go to left by 1, something like that. So these are the methods. And now let's look at question A. Write program code to declare the class character and its constructor. Do not write program code for the other methods. Use your programming language appropriate constructor. All attributes must be private. If you are writing in Python, include attribute declarations using comments. So this question is the typical class question. And I have put the screenshot of the character on the right here for our reference as we write the code. And now let's do some highlighting first. So first of all, this question is asking for class. So this is a class character with their constructor. And next, we do not have to write the program code for the other methods. It means that we only have to define the variables or attributes. And next, if you read carefully, it says that all attributes must be private. So this is very important. So this private here. And then for Python, which we are doing, we have to include some comments regarding the private attributes here. So these are all the highlights for this question A. And now as usual, let's look at the prompts. So what are the prompts for this question A here? So let me click on this. So the first prompt will be define character class, which we have highlighted up there, and then write init method with self, name, X coordinate, Y coordinate as input arguments, because all these three are the attributes for this character class. And then since it's private, we need to use this double underscore. So always remember that for private attributes, we have to use this double underscore. And next, based on the question, we have to write command for attributes declaration. For example, we can write private and then the variable name or the attribute name as which data type, which they have given us in the question as well. So you can just write your solution on your notebook or inside your computer. So I hope you have paused the video and attempt some solution, because to get the most out of this video, you should code together with me. And now let's look at the solution together. So what I do here is pretty simple. We can just start with the definition of the class. So I can just write class character and then colon here. And then we can just enter here. And then we'll just start with this init method here. So I can just write definition init. And then remember that for class, we always have to have the keyword self. So I can just put self here. And then what are the input parameters to this method? It will be the three parameters, which are the name, x coordinate, and y coordinate. So it will be name, x coordinate, definitely for these input parameters here, you can put other names, but I just prefer to put the same name. So next would be self dot name equal to name, and self dot x coordinate equal to x coordinate, and then self dot y coordinate equal to y coordinate. I hope I spelled them correctly. And then looking at this, yeah, it should be correct. And then what else do we need to do? So if you look at this, because this is a private attribute, so it means that for this name here, I have to put this double underscore here. So double underscore here for name, for x coordinate, and for y coordinate. And then, as I say, this is private, and we need to write some comments. So I can just write some comments here. I can just write private, just put this hash here. Private, and what's the name? It's a name as string, just small letter, doesn't matter. And then private x coordinate as integer, and then private y coordinate as integer. Yeah, that's it. This should be the answer for this question A here based on the question requirement. And now let's try to run the code here. So let me just run this code here. So let me just click on this here. And yeah, no error. And now let's go to question B. For question B, write program code for the three get methods for the class character. So this question is quite straightforward. And now let's look at the prompts. So the first prompt will be write methods for get name, return name, write methods for get x, return x coordinate, write methods for get y, return y coordinate. And now let's try to do this question B. So I hope you managed to come up with a solution. And now let's do together. So for this question here, we just enter here, definition, get name. And then since we are defining this method inside the class character, we have to use the word self so that I can access all the attributes inside the class. So I can just put self here, then colon here, return. So what do I return? So looking at the definition of the class, this is the attribute name. So I have to return this. And next, I can just copy this one here, and then copy again, and then change this to get x, change this to get y. We just put a space in between so that it looks better. And then return self dot x coordinate here. So change this to this one, and it's y coordinate. So let me change this as well. And let me double check on the method's name. Get name looks good, get x looks good, get y looks good. And yeah, that's it. This should be the answer for this question B here. The only thing that you have to be careful for this question B here is this underscore here. So because these attributes are private attributes, that's why we have to use this double underscore. So this is the full solution for question B. For C, write program code for the method change position. And now let's look at the definition of change position first. So if you look at this here, takes x change as an integer parameter and adds it to the x coordinate, and then takes y change as an integer parameter and adds it to the y coordinate. It means that this change position method here actually has two input parameters, which is x change, means that you want to move the x by how many, and y change, it means that you want to move it vertically by how many. So these are the two input parameters. And now let's look at the prompts. So the prompt will be write method for change position. So this is quite straightforward. X coordinate is equal to x coordinate plus x change. So as I mentioned in the introduction, for this game, sometimes you have to move the characters around. Therefore, you have this x change and y change here. And now let's look at how can we do this method. Alright, let's start writing. So first of all, I can write the definition of the method. So it's called change position. And then as I say, this is within the class, so I have to write the keyword self. And then comma, what are the input parameters? It will be x change and y change. So I can just write x change and then y change. And then colon here. And then right now, I have to update the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So I can just write self dot So copy this and then underscore. Remember that this is a private attribute equal to, let me just copy this just in case I make some spelling mistake, plus exchange. And then let me just copy this whole statement and just paste it here again. Then change this to y, change this to y, and change this to y. And yeah, that's it. This should be the final answer for this question C. For D, the main program has a 1D array of characters. Each character is stored as an object of type character. The game has a maximum of 10 characters. The character names, x coordinates, and y coordinates are stored in the file characters.txt in the order of name, x coordinate, y coordinate. For example, the first character in the file is named Amal with the x coordinate 0 and the y coordinate 2. Amend the main program by writing program code to declare the array, read in all 10 characters from characters.txt, store each character as an object in the array. So for this question, let's start with some drawing first. So first of all, let's draw this 1D array of characters. It means that for this question, we have this 1D array here. And then since the game has a maximum of 10 characters, let's just assume that this 1D array can only store up to 10 objects. So let me just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and etc. here. I'm not going to draw everything. And then this 1D array is going to store character object inside. Means that here, it's going to have character here. Just draw some picture here. And then inside this object, it has name, x, and y. So this is the structure of the 1D array. So let's just name this as characters. Characters. So the name of the array is characters array. And next, we have a text file. So this is given in your exam. So let me just open up the text file and show you. So I have uploaded the text file to my local storage here. So it's somewhere here, and let me just open this up. So this is the characters.txt. So if you look at here, we always have the name, and then x coordinate, and then y coordinate. So the first line will be the name, x coordinate, y coordinate, and then repeat name xy, and etc. So this is the structure of the characters.txt. It means that right now we have a text file here. And then it starts for name, and x, y, name, x, y, and etc. And this question is asking us to store this as one object. And then this name xy as the second object, and etc. So we just have to keep repeating this storage until we finish reading the whole file. So by right, this file here should have 30 lines here. Because we have 10 characters and every 3 lines is for 1 character. And then is there anything else that we need to do? I think that's it. So we can just start with the declare the array. So let me just draw it out here. So this is like step 1. Declare the array and then read in all 10 characters from this text file. So this is like step 2. And finally, you will just store all the objects into this array here. So this is like step 3 here. And now let's look at the prompt. So what would be the prompts? So based on what we draw and the question itself, these are all the prompts. So let me just move in the question as well. So this is the question for our reference. So let's start with the first prompt. The first prompt will be declare an empty array and name of the text file. So we have to define the name of the text file, which is given to you in the exam, which is called characters.txt. And next, I will be opening the characters.txt in read mode because we are just reading the data from the text file. So we can just use read mode here. And then we will be reading line by line because as I mentioned just now, this is like name, x, y. So we are actually reading line by line. And next, what are the keywords to be used? It will be try, accept. So we will be trying to open the file using the try command, and then let's say it doesn't open or we cannot find the file, we can just throw the accept command here. And next will be the open command and then the read line because we are reading line by line. So we are using the read line command. And then finally, remember to close the file. So these are the prompts for the text file. And next, we have to use the strip function to remove all white space characters for good practice. Because let's say inside the text file, let me just draw it out here. Let's say this name here, maybe there's some space in between, maybe at the front or at the back here. So we are just using the strip function to remove all the empty spaces. And next, inside the file, we will be running the loop for 10 times since 10 characters. And then each run, we will be reading 3 lines in sequence. It means that let's say we have the first iteration, I will be reading first line, second line, third line. Second iteration, fourth line, fifth line, and sixth line, and etc. We will be repeating this for 10 times. We will be storing each line into separate name, integer x coordinate, integer y coordinate, and then store it into temp character object. It means that we will be declaring the temp character object using the character class. And then we'll be storing all this into this object. And then finally, we'll be just storing this character object into the 1D array. Therefore, this should be the end-to-end workflow for this question. And now let's attempt this question. Alright, let's do this together. So first of all, let's start with this. Declare an empty array and name of text file. So the name of the array will be characters. So characters and then just empty array. And next, what's the name of the text file? The name of the text file is characters.txt. So text file equal to characters.txt. Hope I spelled this correctly. I think it should be correct. And next, for text file, we have all these keywords here. Try, accept, open, read line, and close. So I can just write try here first, and then maybe I just put accept here first, and then say, let's say I couldn't find the file, I will just print out some error. So I can just print file not found. Okay, and next inside the try, we will just open the file and then just try to read the file. So I can just write file equal to open. So what do you open? You are opening the text file. So I can just write text file here. And then which mode is a read mode. So I can just put quotation here and then R here. That's it. So right now we have just opened the file. And now we are done with this try, accept, open, then we have read line and close. So for close, maybe towards the end here, I can just put it here first, just in case I forget. So let me just tap it here, file dot close. So this is just to close the file when we are done with the operations. And next, we will be writing this for loop here. So I can just write for x in range. So what is the range? The range should be 0 to 10 because we have 10 iteration. So I can just put 0, 10, and then that's it. So inside the for loop, what we do here is that we are just extracting the name, x, and y. So I can just put something like this. I can just put name equal to file.readline. And then remember that we have to remove the empty space as well. So I can just write strip bracket here. And then I think for this read line, I have to put this thing as well, the bracket here. Alright, so this is for name. And then for x coordinate, I can just do the same. Let me just do something like this. Copy, paste, and then change this to x coordinate. And then this is like y coordinate. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually reading the file line by line. For example, I read like first line equal to name. Second line equal to x coordinate. Third line is equal to y coordinate. And what would be the next step? The next step is creating a temporary object. So I can just put something like this. Temp character equal to character. And then we have to pass in the input parameters to this character class here. So what will be the input? It will be all these three here. So it will be name, and then x coordinate, and then y coordinate. Just like that. So right now, I'm actually creating a temporary character object to store this temp character here, whereby we have the name, x coordinate, and y coordinate. And before we go to the next step, just in case this thing has error here, because we are reading the file and we are reading the input as string, so I have to convert this into integer. So I can just put something like this, integer, and then integer. Just like that. And next, I will be putting this object into my array, which is the step 3 here. So how do you do that? It's actually quite simple. You can just put character. So this is the array name, append, temp, character. Yeah, that's it. This should be all the steps for this question here. And let me just delete all the extra lines here first. So this line here, this line, And then, yeah, that's it. Now the question is, what if you want to test out all the steps here? It means that you want to test whether your code is actually working as expected. It means that is your code able to read everything inside the text file and store it into this characters array. So how do you do that? You can actually just loop through the characters array and then print out whatever that's inside. And then if it matches with what is inside the text file, it should be correct. And now let's look at how can we do that. We can do something like this. For example, I can write for character in characters print character dot name, and then maybe just add a dash here, comma, character dot x coordinate, character dot y coordinate. And now before we test this, let me ask you, do you think this line will work? It means that let's say all these lines are working. Do you think this line here is able to print out the name, the coordinates for this question here? Let's try to run and see. So let me just run this. Look at this. This is actually throwing error, which is actually expected. Why? Let's look at the error. The error is saying character object has no attribute name. So some of you might be asking me, I thought the attributes are name, x coordinate, and y coordinate. By right, this should work, right? No, because as I say, this question here, these are all private attributes. It means that you are not able to access all the attribute outside the class. So how do you solve this? If you want to get the name and all the coordinates outside the class, we have actually written the solution. We can use the get method. It means that all this get method here, we can call this outside the class. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this here and paste it inside the class. So let me just paste this inside the class here with the same indentation. Okay, let me fix some indentation here. So this one here, and then this one is a tab. You just put like this. Then as well as this one as well. Okay, now looks good. Okay, it means that right now we have this class character, and then we have this initialization, and then we have this all these methods here, so that we can actually get all the attributes outside the class. And just for double checking, let me just clean all the variables first. Let me just restart runtime. Yes, and then let me run this class again. Let me just run this class. Okay, it's done now. And let me change this statement a bit. So what I will do here is, instead of name, I will write get name. And then bracket here. And then here will be get x. Here will be get y. And as a good practice, since these two are integer, I will just change this to string here, and then string here. Close the bracket. Okay, just like that. So right now, let's try to run this whole thing now and see what is the result. Let me just try to run this now. And yeah, that's it. This is the answer here. So right now we have this amount 02. Okay, I forget a dash here. So let me just add the dash as well here. So it's easier to see. And let me just run again. Okay, so now it's better. So amount dash 0 dash 2 just dash 10 dash 12. And let's just double check with the text file. So let me just clean out the drawing here first. Clean all this. And then let me open up the text file here. .txt. And let's compare. So if you look at this, amount 02, Jess 1012, Carl 5024, and etc. So right now, this code is working as expected. So in this demo, I'm just trying to show you how to access the private attributes using the get method here. And now let's go to the next question. For E, the main program needs to read in a character's name from the user, search for the character in the array, and store the index of its position. It repeats until the user enters a name that exists in the array. Amend the main program by writing program code to perform this task. So this is a 5 marks question. And as usual, before we start writing the code or even coming up with the prompts, let's do some drawing to understand this question first. There's something that I want to emphasize for people for. A lot of time, if you spend like 1 minute or just 30 seconds to come up with a drawing, you can come up with a solution easily. And now let's look at this question first. So first of all, this question here is saying that we need to read a character name from the user. So let me just do some drawing first. It means that I will have this console here, and it's just asking for the name from the user. So it means that someone will be typing the name into the console, and then our program is supposed to go to the characters array. So let's say this is the character arrays with like 10 elements here. Let me just write 10 here. And then what happened here is that inside this array here, we have all the index like 0, 1, 2, 3, and etc. And our program is supposed to search for the name inside this characters array. So it means that let's say I type in like A, and then here we have like B, D, E, and A is here. So what happened here is that our program is supposed to compare this A here with the B here, and then when they compare, say, hey, A is not equal to B. Okay, let's move on to D. Is A equal to D? No. Let's move on to E. Is A equal to E? No. And then finally, is A equal to A? Yes. Means that they have found the right name. And now we just have to return this 3 here into the program. So this is the whole idea of this question E here. And now let's look at the prompts. So based on the prompt that I have written here, it says that first of all, we will run a while loop based on condition of position. And we will set the initial value of position to -1. And if we found the matching name, the position will get updated from -1 to either 0 to 9 to exit the loop. It means that for this question, I will be using a for loop. And then let me just do some drawing here. And I have this thing called position. And then this variable here will have an initial value of -1. So this is the condition of the while loop. And then I will be searching through the array. And let's say if I found the right name, and then I will update this -1 into non-1 because the index starts from 0 all the way to 9 here. Therefore, let's say I realize that, hey, my position is no longer -1. It means that I have found the right name and I can just exit the while loop. So this is the key idea for the implementation for this question E here. Within the loop, takes in input using method input. So this is the typical workflow for Python. You can just run the input command to get the input from the user. And then we will be looping through 10 characters inside the array to find matching character's name. Since name is a private attribute, we will need to use getName to get the private attribute name. So as I demo in the previous question, we can't use .name. We have to use .getName to actually get the actual name. And during comparison, we have to convert both input and character's name that we get from the text file to lowercase. The reason why is, let's say the name here is like hello. Okay, and our input is hello. So right now, they are not equal anymore. So just in case, I will convert all of these to lowercase and this bottom here to lowercase as well, so that they are both equal now. So this is some precaution steps. And finally, only stop when the name is found. And then as I say, we will update the position to current index to exit the while loop. So this position equal to -1 is the important aspect of the while loop. And now let's try to do this solution. First of all, we'll define the initial value of position. So position equal to -1. So this should be the only variable that we need for this question E here. And next will be the while loop. So I can write while position is still equal to -1. It means that as long as the position is still -1, I will be just keep asking for the input of the name. And then I can just write input name equal to input bracket. Maybe I just write something inside. Please enter name to get position. or index, it doesn't really matter. You can just write this as the input prompt. So it means that right now, the console is asking, hey, please give me some input name. And next will be trying to search the name from the array. So I can just use a for loop to loop through the array. So I can just write for count in range 0 to 10. Why 0 to 10? Because we know that this characters array has 10 elements, so 0 to 10. And inside the for loop, we will try to get the name from the arrays here. So how do you do that? You can just write temp name. So this is just a temporary variable, then equal to characters. So this is the characters array, and then count here. So this is stating that which index, because we have like 10 elements inside, like 0 all the way to 9 here. And then remember that we can't use dot name, because this is a private attribute. I have to do something like this. Get name bracket. Just like that. Okay? And then next I will be just doing some comparison. For example, if temp name dot lower. So this is just converting all of these to lower characters. Equal to input name dot lower. So this is the if else statement, and then I can just update the position equal to the current count. Just like that. It means that let's say we found the matching pair, we will just update the position from -1 to the current count, which is the current index. And let's say we found it, it will update the position to non-1, and then you will just exit the while loop. So just like that. So this is the answer for question E. For F, the user will enter a letter to identify the direction of the chosen character from part 2E should move. If A is input, the character moves left, X coordinate -1. If W is input, the character moves up, Y coordinate +1. If S is input, the character moves down, Y coordinate -1. If D is input, the character moves right, X coordinate +1. Amend the main program by writing program code to take a letter as input until it is a valid move, A, W, S, or D. It means that your program only can take in these 4 characters here. Change the position of the character using the appropriate method. So for this question here, it's actually quite straightforward once you know what is happening at the background. So let me just show you the whole workflow first. So first of all, it means that someone type in the name. So let me just draw the array here as well. Let me have this is the characters array. Then let's say we have this, let's say we have Hagwin here. Let's say these are index 2, 3. Okay, these are all the indexes. And then I type in Hagwin. So right now, position return will be 1 now. Based on question E just now. So position equal to 1 now. So I just write position equal to 1. Doesn't matter. Okay, so this is position, the value of position now. And this F is saying that we will take this position and say, hey, this is my position now. Let's say this Hagwin, it has the value of X and Y. Let's say, I don't know, it's like 10 and 5. So these are the values, the initial value right now. And then we have the other program for F here. It will say that, hey, we have another program here. And then users are supposed to type in A or W or S or D. So let's say the user type in A, the character move left means that X coordinate -1. Then let's say I type in A, this Hagwin here will move from 10 to 9. Just like that. And let's say I type in let's try one more example. Let's say I type in D. Say I type in D. The characters move right, X coordinate +1. Means that right now this 9, let's say it was 9 as the original value. This 9 will become 10 now. Just like that. So this is the whole purpose of question F first. So as I say, before you start writing the code, you try to visualize the whole end-to-end flow first and then do some drawing. Your life is going to be so much more simpler. Now let's look at the prompts that I have. So first of all, we will be using the position variable from G. So this basically means that from G here, we will actually pass the position into this F question here. And next will be run a while loop based on the boolean is valid with initial value of false. Because this question here only takes in 4 characters, which are A, W, S, D. So we will do something like this. We say that, hey, is valid is equal to false now. And if you don't give me any characters other than AWSD, my isValid will remain as false. So this is the key thinking for using this isValid boolean here. And then within the while loop, take in the input, so you can just write something like this. You can write which character is for which direction. So just imagine that this is like a mobile game, and you're just telling, say, hey, if you type A, my character will move -1. If you type W, my character will move Y coordinate +1, and etc. And then check if it's a AWSD using a if statement. Make sure uppercase the input just in case input is a small letter. So this is just a precaution. It means that just in case the user doesn't listen to the input prompts, the user go and type like A or type like W or S or D. So we will be converting this to uppercase like A and then capital S and etc. So this is what we're going to do. And next will be, if it matches, update the position accordingly using the change position method. So remember that we have actually defined the change position method previously. So we will be calling this method now. And finally, update isValid to true to end the while loop. So as I say, as long as the user doesn't input these 4 characters here, it will just keep asking the user for the input until the user start typing in these 4 inputs here. Then we will update the isValid to true to exit the while loop. So this is the condition for the while loop. And for fun fact purpose, you can actually look at your keyboard to see what does this AWSD stand for. For example, W stand for the vertical, and then A and D stand for the horizontal. So this is just some fun fact. So let's code together. So let's start with the first line, which is defining the initial value of the isValid variable. So it will be isValid equal to false. And next will be the while loop. So I can write while isValid is still equal to false. It means that as long as isValid is still false, I will be running this while loop here. And then I can just write getting the direction from the user. So I can just write direction equal to a input prompt. And then I can write something like this. I can write like A for left, W for up, S for down, D for right. So this is just like an information to the user. Let's say the user wants the character to move to the left, they can type in A. Let's say move up, they can type in W, and etc. And then now we can start writing the if-else statement. So for the if-else statement, you can just write if. Remember that we have to do uppercase to this direction just in case the user types in small letter A, small letter W, and etc. So I can just write if direction dot upper equal A. So what do? I will be updating the element inside the characters array. So how do you do that? You can just write something like this, character. And then remember that we have the index name as position in the previous question. So I can just write position here. And then you will be calling the method that we have defined previously. So what does it call to change position? It's called change position. So change position. And then for A, this is the statement here. X coordinate -1. It means that we have to -1 for the X coordinate. So I can just write something like this. -1. And then for Y, no changes. So it's going to be 0 here. And then for the other statement, I can just copy and paste. So I can just copy, paste here, paste here, paste here, and then just change this to else if. Else if, else if, else if. And then let me change the character. So it will be W, S, D. So W, it should be going up. So up should be 0 and 1. And S should be going down. So it should be 0, -1. And then D should be going to the right. So it should be 0 and then 1. And then at the same time, because we're in a while loop now, we need to exit the while loop as soon as we find A, W, S, or D as the input. So we can just update here. isValid equal to true. It means that let's say the user types in A or W or S or D, I will be updating the isValid variable to true so that I can exit the while loop. And then let me copy all this. So let me copy this, paste here, paste here. Yeah, that's it. This should be the full code for this question F here. And the next question is, what if you want to test this solution F to see whether it's working as expected? It means that I have to check the coordinates of this character before changes and after changes. So I can just write something like this. I can write print and then just write before. And then let me just do a space here, comma, and then characters, position. And then let's say you want to get the name. So dot get name, and then comma, dash, comma. So let me just copy this so that it's a bit faster. Comma, comma, dash, comma, and then paste here. Then change this to get X and change this to get Y. And then let me just print this after as well. So print, this is after. So right now, these two print statements are printing the coordinates before any changes and after the changes. We will be getting the name, getting the X, and getting the Y. And now we can start testing this F. But before we test F, we have to get this position from here, from this E step here. And in order to run this, let's just run everything from scratch again. Because for this F here, we have to run this change position as well. And I think we haven't defined this change position within the class definition yet. So let's go back all the way to the top here. So if you look at this class definition here, we do not have the change position method within the class here. So let me just copy the change position into this class here. And then let me just fix the indentation here. And at the same time, let me just clear all the variables that are being defined first so that we can just do a clean run. So just runtime and then restart runtime. Yes. Okay, let's run this. So I will run this first. So if you look at this, this is a tick here. It means that there's no error running this definition here. And then let's go to next step. So can I skip this? Can I skip this? Okay, for this, we are reading whatever that's inside this characters.txt into the characters array. So let me run this. So let me run this. And then no issue. And then let's go next. Okay, this one here. So this one is actually asking you which name that you want to update. So we don't really know the content of the characters array. What we can do here is that we can either print out the content or we can just refer to the text file. So I can just refer to the text file. So text file is here. And let's choose a name that is inside this characters.txt. Maybe you can just choose Robin here. So let's just choose Robin. So when I run this and type in Robin, what will be the output position? It should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the position should be 7. So let's run this. And then I will be typing Robin here. Okay, this code doesn't print out a position, so we wouldn't know whether we get the correct position. But it's okay. Let me just create a code block here. And then let me just print position. I should be getting 7 based on our expectation. So let me just run this. And yeah, here you go. This is 7 here. And now we get the position 7. It means that right now, we want to update the coordinate of Robin here. And now let's go to this F here. For now, maybe just change the Robin position to the left. It means that I will be moving Robin position to X minus 1, moving one step to the left. So I will be typing A as the input to this chunk here. So let me just run this code here. And then if you look at this right now, Robin is at X 100 and then Y 75. And then I will be inputting A here. So the expectation is this 100 should go into 99. So let's see. So let me just click enter here. And here we go. Robin has been updated to 99 here. Therefore, it means that this code is working as expected. So right now, let me close all of this, close this, and then delete all this here. Because we don't need this for the full final solution. So let me just delete this. And now let's go to the next question. For GI, when a change to a character's position has been made, the program needs to output the character's name and the new X and Y coordinates of the character in the format, key has changed coordinates to x equal 83 and y equal to 0. Amend the main program by writing program code to perform this task. So we have actually done this in the previous step. And now let's just look at the prompts first. So the first prompt will be print name using getName, print x coordinate using getX. So as good practice, we have to convert the integer to string, and then print y coordinate using getY, as usual, convert to string. So let's write the solution. Print. So we start from the name, so I can just write characters, and then position, and then dot get name, and then comma, and then we have the space here, and then has changed coordinates to x equal, and then space again, and then comma, and then it will be the answer. So let me just copy this so it's faster. Then paste here, and then this would be get x, and then comma, and then quotation here again, and then space and space y space equals space, and then comma, and then let me just copy this, then paste it here, and then get y. And then since both of these are integer, let me just convert to string. So string bracket, and then close bracket, and then string, and then bracket, and then close bracket. And yeah, that's it. This should be the answer for this GI here. The last question is, test your program by inputting the following 4 items of data in the order given. Thomas, key, X, A. Take a screenshot of the output. So looking at this, can you predict the output before running the actual command? So if you look at this, Thomas here, I don't think Thomas is inside the characters.txt. So it will be key here. And then X here, this is not a valid direction because for direction, we only have W, A, S, and D. So these are the 4 directions. So it will be this key here and then move to the left for 1 position. So looking at the characters.txt, so let me just open up the characters.txt. So this is the characters.txt, and then key is here. So the position is 84. And then we are actually inputting A here, means that this position should be moving to the left by 1 step. So by right, the screenshot, which is the final screenshot, should be showing 83. So let's look at the prompts. So the prompts will be running everything from 2A to 2GI and then passing the above inputs. So if you look at this question, this is a 1 mark question. So let's say this is your real exam, and as you run the command from 2A to 2GI, there were some errors and then some of the code couldn't run properly. I would advise you to skip this question, because for this exam, you are not trying to score like full marks for this paper. Obviously, it would be good if you can score full mark, but your objective is score as many as possible. So don't waste so much time on this 1 mark question. You should go and do other questions first, and if you have extra time, only you come back to this 1 mark question here and try to solve the problem with your code. So this is just my advice. And now let me copy all the code and paste it here. So I've done copying all the code. So we start from this class definition. So these are the variables, these are the methods here. And then we will be inserting everything inside this characters.txt into the characters array using all the steps here. And then we try to get the position of the name. And then right now we are just trying to change the position. And then we can just run the code now. So before I run, let me just clear the runtime first. So let me just clear this, restart runtime, and then let me just click on run here. Okay, please enter name to get position. So let me just scroll back up again. So it will be Thomas, key, X, and A. So let me just write this down. So we will start from Thomas. So as expected, Thomas is not a valid input. So let me just click enter here. So right now, it's asking again, please enter name to get position. So let me just write key here. So this should be an accepted value. So let me just click on enter here. And now asking us A or W or S or D. So we are typing a wrong input, which is X here. So let me type X here, enter, and then this is the wrong input. So the final input will be A here. So let me click on enter here. Here you go. So this is the final result here. Key has changed coordinates to x equal to 83 and y equal to 9 here. If you have learned something new from this video, definitely comment down below. Thank you, and I will see you again then. Bye bye.